Bubba, you were telling me today before the show started, and by the way, we will look back on 17 years ago today, the attack on America. Our 9/11 look back will be happening around the time America was attacked 17 years ago today during a Rick and Bubba show. We won't be exactly on the time because of the way the commercial breaks go and all that, but we'll be close. And we'll play back some of the excerpts of what was happening on the air. Adler, for those of you on CRTV, will be showing you some of the highlights of that, too, as you listen to the audio of things that unfolded on this show and around the world 17 years ago today. But, Bubba, you mentioned something that you had an obituary today. And first of all, I want to say I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, well, always. We're going to be talking about heroes during the 9/11, certainly.
Yeah.
When we think about military, we think about our intelligence officers, our police, our first responders. Yeah. A lot of people that we classify as heroes. But there's also some that we never know about. And we lost a gentleman yesterday who this kind of goes to our standard of living in our country. We live at a standard of living never before seen.
Right.
And really a lot of that has happened in the last 100 years for the most part. And we can thank that in large part to the American ingenuity, the inventions that we've come up with, and then even more important, our ability to turn those inventions into real-life working products that we see in our day-to-day life, in our defense, in our exploration of space, and airplanes and everything else. Well, I met a gentleman probably about 20 years ago. His name was Bob Blizzard, and he is the father of one of Betty's best friends. And I was very fortunate enough to meet him. He was known by his son-in-law's pet name for him, Safety Bob.
Safety Bob.
Safety Bob, because he claims he's the only man he ever knew who read the instructions on the back of a pack of batteries. And that's how he got that name.
Wow.
So
you got a little Safety Bob in you.
Well, Rick, and I take that as a compliment.
Sure. It's meant that way.
Bob Blizzard was a very modest man, never talked a lot about his accomplishments and all that kind of thing, but he was a highly decorated Honeywell navigational engineer and aeronautical consultant, and he worked across many lines of technology that we see today, military, NASA, private sector, all that kind of stuff. He worked 45 years at Honeywell, and he was involved in many space projects, including Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo, and was close and personal friends with many of the early astronauts, and including, I think, one of his favorite, Gus Grissom, who I've heard him speak about several times. He also worked in various areas in our military, including the SR-71 Blackbird, the Tomahawk cruise missile. He also worked on the F-35 Joint Fighter and the Hughes Glomar Explorer. Now, that's a whole topic in itself. If you remember the movie about the Russian submarine that was lost, it was actually K-129. And was the movie named that, or did it have another name close to that? But anyway, he was involved in that project where the U.S. was trying to recover that submarine and find out all about it. And he also, Rick, was a consultant to Tom Clancy from a technical standpoint in many of the books that he wrote. And, Rick, he worked in Area 51 for Skunk Works.
Here we go. Now,
in the engineering world, if you worked at Area 51, that's like being a member of the Rolling Stones. I mean, you know what I mean? In scientific and engineering, it doesn't get any bigger than if you worked at Area 51. And
does he have anything that you'd like to share with us?
Well, now he had a lot of, had a lot of high security issues, so a lot of that he couldn't speak about. But I will say this: he did have a famous quote I wanted to tell you about. I asked him one time directly. I said, "Bob, you've worked in Area 51," and I said, "There's a lot of people who think the way we got to the moon was with a guidance system that the Russians never perfected, by the way, and the Chinese have never perfected to land a man on the moon. And a lot of people think we got it from a crashed alien spacecraft in Roswell, New Mexico." And I just asked him, is that true? Did we get our inertia guidance system from alien intelligence. His quote to me was, "Hell no. My team and I invented the inertia navigation system."
Wasn't no aliens.
So
wasn't no little grays.
Rest assured, we didn't get it from little grays. It was just good old American ingenuity.
And in honor of Safety Bob today, we will take 0 calls from flat Earth people.
That's right.
There you go.
No, Rick,
None.
Rick, he wouldn't waste his breath on them. A friend of his wrote a note about Bob, and I wanted to share that with you right quick. Some of the bravest and most patriotic American heroes are unknown. They are heroic because of the things that they do and have done, but more importantly, because of the secrets they have been willing to keep even to the grave. These are the American heroes we must never forget because their work is the most important and the most unsung. Bob's work has helped all Americans given the direct ties he has to national security, and yet we will never know what all he actually was involved in. This is the definition of a hero, one who gives his life for the benefit of many. Through his silence, through his whole life, every day, Bob remained a hero because he remained silent. Preserving national assets within a highly classified project is a burden to the holders of the national secrets, which in almost all cases causes issues of isolation and loneliness, rarely explored in the media and movies about these American heroes. He paid a deeper price than any of us will ever understand, but he did it with the joy of service to the greater good. We will miss Safety Bob, one of our great engineering minds that has given us these wonders we're sitting around here with.
Right.
You know?
Right. I mean, and you're right. It's a real novel thing, sadly, to find now people willing to do what needs to be done and not desire or care if they get any credit for it. That's a lost characteristic.
And they did serve a greater goal, and not just Bob. There were many, many, many other people involved in all these projects, and they, I'm so thankful that they did what they did, so we got what we got today. You just look around this room, all this technology we're enjoying, or spinoffs of that, and if it hadn't been for the American opportunity to discover, build, test, and create these things, we never would have it. Nowhere else in the world can these things happen. And we need to be thankful for that.
Kind of what we were trying to tell Jim Carrey yesterday.
Yeah, and we don't need to destroy it ourselves.
Right. And I saw a lot of that yesterday. Yeah. People saying, Jim Carrey, you go first.
Yeah. You first, Jim. We're behind you.
We'll come back. Bottom of the hour. Our number's 866-WE-BE-BIG.
But just a real interesting guy.
Yeah, really. No doubt about that. We'll be back. 866-WE-BE-BIG's the number. Rick and Bubba, spell out the word and.com is our website. More Rick and Bubba coming up right after this.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.